So once more, welcome everybody. My name is Federico Gaviano. I represent here Associazione TDM 2000, which is an organization, a non-profit organization based in Italy, which is working on the fields of non-formal education, international cooperation, and growth of young people. I have the pleasure today to be here to start up a new cycle of webinars that we launched within one project that we are running already since a year and a half, more or less. The name of the project, the acronym is EYES, and it means Entrecomp to create youth employability and social value. It is a long-term project of 2 years, which is financed by the European Union through the program Erasmus Plus in its youth chapter under the Key Action 2 capacity building. The Key Action 2 capacity building is an action which provides the opportunity to organizations to cooperate on cooperation which is going beyond the borders of the European Union, and that's why in this project we are running a cooperation between Euro-Mediterranean organizations. We have 6 partners which are based on both shores of the Mediterranean. So we have Italy, which is the country of the coordinator, Spain, which is the country of Zul Foundation, which will run today the webinar, the first webinar of the 2 that we are gonna provide today. We have Greece, we have Vaya from YED as well, which is connected with us. And then we have Jordan, Tunisia, and Egypt. These are the main countries in which the partners of the project are based. The project is about a very, I would say, like interesting and modern concept, which is the one of social entrepreneurship and how we can actually provide insights on social entrepreneurship for young people, especially like to provide tools that can be useful in order to build up their own social enterprise. There are a lot of youngsters that are struggling in the world of today to find their place in the economic system. And one of the tools that we think is interesting to develop an idea and make it become a project which can be also financially sustainable is the one of building up an own enterprise. Since again today there are like many things to keep in mind, and one very important thing is as well like the sustainable development goals, which are run by the UN, but in general a more conscious and aware way of managing what we are doing around us. It's very important that we provide as well a way for our enterprises to have a social impact, an environmental impact, and be respectful towards these issues that are more and more relevant today. So that's why like our project is based on the idea not only of building up an enterprise, but building up an enterprise which can have an impact in terms of social and environmental issues that are present in our local and international environment. This just like to give very brief information about that. I share in the chat right now as well the website of the project, so that if you want you can take a look today, but also like you can keep an eye on it because all the webinars that we are gonna run during these days will be recorded and uploaded in the website, but as well you will find different other resources over there. We already like finalized a long-term research about the state of art of social entrepreneurship and the knowledge that young people has about this topic in the different countries involved in the project. And we are just finalizing a manual of activities for trainers, youth leaders, young educators, with activities that can be delivered to young people in order to make some sessions or a long-term course to understand better how they can build up their own social enterprise. So altogether, the webinars and this set of tools will provide the chance to improve how to build up a social enterprise for young people in the different countries involved. And of course, we wish with the project in its coming months and in the follow-up phase of it to provide as well the opportunity for more countries to take benefit from what we produced with our partnership and expand it also further beyond the borders of the countries that we involved in this first phase of the project. We're also going to run again in the countries of the project some pilot actions. So in case you are again from Italy, Spain, Greece, Egypt, Jordan, or Tunisia, don't miss the chance as well to get in touch with the organizations. So you find the partners as well in the chat of the project, so you can get in touch with them and try to make sure that you can have a spot in the pilot actions that will be run from January on in the different countries. I don't think there is much more to say, just a few technicalities. I invite you to keep your microphone off for the duration of the meeting. As I told, we are recording the meeting. I will provide very soon the floor to Cristina Reyes from Fundación XUL, which is here today to run our webinar about social impact and ethics in social entrepreneurship. And another thing that can be useful is in case you have any questions throughout the time of the presentation, please use the chat to provide your questions, and the speakers will make sure to answer to the questions either throughout the presentation, but most probably in the end of the meeting of today. So this first webinar will last about 1 hour, so until 4, we believe, including the time for answering the questions. And then we will have a second one following, which is run by Maher and the Tunisian Scouts, which will be about networking with partners, sponsors, and different stakeholders. That's all from me. I thank you already for the attention, and I pass the word to Cristina so that we can start up with the topic of the day.
Thank you, Federico. Can you hear me? Yeah, perfect. So welcome everybody. As Federico said, we are all here because we are starting our cycle of webinars that is going to take the whole week. And today we have the first webinar. It's called Social and Ethical Impact of Social Enterprises. With this webinar, we are going to dive into the fascinating world of social impact and ethics, two topics that are continuously interlaced in our society and that now more than ever need to be discussed in a comprehensive and dynamic way. This webinar today aims to explore the crucial role that ethics plays in the design and execution of social impact interventions. We want to dig into how our action, decisions, and policies affect communities and the whole and the world as a whole. And to guide us through these crucial and these topics, we are very fortunate because I'm not here alone. I have here with me Coral Ruth, a passionate expert in this file. So I'm gonna do a short presentation of her because I would like to give her the flow. She has very interesting things to say today to you. So she's the founder and CEO of the Zero Waste Berlin Festival. She started the project in 2019 when the topic of zero waste arrived in her life. In 2019, she started an international community to bring people together around the topic and learn together. Seeing that the community had grown after a few months, she put together her passion for sustainability and her professional background and created the festival. In 2020, she celebrated the first edition digitally. In 2021 and 2022, Along with her team, they celebrated the following edition of the festival in person. She has a strong background and experience in zero waste and circularity. She's from Spain, but she's currently in Berlin, right, Coral? Yes. And she's graduated in advertising and public relations with a master in communication and public relations management. Before starting her entrepreneurial career, Coral worked in project management, marketing, and events, and she also works as a consultant for sustainable startups. So, guys, get ready for an enriching and inspiring exchange of ideas that will hopefully motivate us to be more mindful and ethical in our intervention for social change. I don't want to waste more time with my words. I take the floor to Coral. As Federico said before, if people want to ask questions, please write in the chat, and I will pay attention to this. So, Coral, welcome to our webinar.
Hi, Christina. Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone for inviting me and having me here. It's really a pleasure, and really happy to share a bit of my knowledge to the next people that will be basically who I was just a few years ago, also when I started my entrepreneurial career. So let me share my screen, and so let me see just to be sure that you are able to see it. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so as Christina just mentioned, today I'm going to be speaking about social impact and ethics. I think it's a really broad topic, and of course, everybody can have a different opinion. I think this could be a conversation that could take hours, right? And to look at all the parts that these two elements or two words have. But today I'm going to be trying to bring some lights into how these two concepts come together, social impact and ethic, and at least to try to set up a baseline for everyone to want to understand what it is about, and of course they want to start their own ventures. So I think it can be useful always to review the theory, that sometimes when we start a business, we just go, and sometimes we forget about the beginning, right? So I think this is always something good to go back to, have a look, and always remember, because sometimes when it comes to business, we get lost into the everyday life and duties. So a bit of a summary of what I'm going to be speaking about today. Of course, I would like to review the concepts themselves, to give some hints, and also to bring some lights about the meaning and how they are both related. And later on in the presentation, I would like to speak further about how ethics is really influencing the social enterprises. I wanted to start with an introduction, but I think Christina did it really well. Well, I'm originally from Spain, but I've been living and working in Berlin for the last few years. So also my background has been really diverse, but for the last 4 years, I've been focusing into the social entrepreneurship side, and also working with a lot of startups and companies here in Berlin as a consultant. So I'm really aware about the struggles sometimes to keep that ethic along all the struggles that entrepreneurs we do have. But it's really interesting always to see how social entrepreneurs try to keep their ethics stronger than any other type of entrepreneurs, right? Because sometimes these type of projects come from a personal background, from something that is happening in their lives, and because it's so related to them, that's why we try to follow certain ethical rules or certain things to do good, right? So it's become a bit more difficult to maybe run your business when you need to basically fight against your own thoughts or beliefs. So to start with, and before we go deeper, I would like to basically look at the terms that we have here today and understand what it means. So I wanted to take this definition of social enterprise that the European Commission is giving us, because I think is really good, and because we are coming from a European project. So social enterprise is an enterprise that is operated in the social economy. whose main objective is to have a social impact rather than make a profit. And I love this part of rather than make a profit, because this is one of the main struggles that many social enterprise bring. Okay, how do I make money? Sometimes to make money, I need to make the wrong choice. It's not wrong per se, but it's maybe not the most ethical one, right? And because of these decisions that we need to make sometimes, we struggle to make maybe a financial sustainable enterprise. So it's always the struggle of finding the balance between making it right, like making it social, and having the profitability that will make our business to grow, or at least to continue how it is, but that is sustainable for us to make a living, right? Because we live in a society where we need to have also that financial benefit. Of course, it can provide good, it can provide services, and this is one of the things also that touched me personally, because I work in the side of services, and sometimes when you work in social enterprises, also when you are offering services, it's even more difficult to justify how you make good, right? Because when it comes to I don't know, let's put a really clear example, a sustainable product that says okay, I don't use plastic, just to say a really simple example, people really easily see what's your benefit, right? But when you work in the services side of things, sometimes you need to explain a lot more how is your mission, how are you doing the good, because we are speaking here not only about non-profits. We need to be really aware that social enterprises can be a non-profit organization, but it can be also for-profit organization, right? And then we need to find also this way of how to combine goods, services, and also non-profit and profit ones. To continuing what is a social enterprise, we will need to look at the type of businesses that is basically what I was just mentioning, and is the main thing is to have this social objective for the common good. And that common good, of course, might diverse depending on the country, on the local needs, on the society you live. But of course, there are certain rules or certain things that I think we all, independently of where we live, we can see in common, right? Like the social good for the people is basically something that is not damaging the people, something that is not damaging the planet. So this is the kind of things that one need to consider when thinking about an idea of a social enterprise. And one of the things that also the European Commission mentioned is that the profits are reinvested to achieve this social objective. So most of the time, because of the nature of the companies, the benefit just simply go to the shareholders. But what most of the social enterprise do is to reinvest those benefits into making maybe bigger projects, into supporting their activities beyond their own organization, maybe supporting other organizations, other projects, or even making the investment into their own team. It can be something good. It can be the investment also into improving their own processes or becoming better, right? Because we understand that even if you have a social goal, you might not start in the best position, but you will progress and you will improve with time. So this is also a way for us to look into the difference between the usual business that we have been living or that we have until now to the new difference, or what is the only future of the businesses, no, at the end. And also the third point that is the one that mentioned here, no, that's those where the methods of organization or the ownership system reflect their enterprise mission. So basically, we see also in the way that the organizations or the social enterprises shape the way that they treat their workers, or even how they develop their business into their day-to-day lives. So these are businesses that care about people, that care about who is around them, and that are usually democratic, right? So where everybody can bring the best of them, and that not only a few of them will be really good in the company and others are just there because they need a job. That is what happens sometimes in so many places. But to continue in not only the type of businesses and how they work, we also need to look at, okay, where are the main areas or the main themes that we can call it as well, that these social enterprises are operating. So the European Commission find here 4 points, like I'm gonna just show you all of them to you, but of course, each of these points or each of these areas of operations can be divided in so many others, right? We are gonna see it just right now. The first of all is maybe the one that most of us can relate, or the ones that we have seen most during the last years, is the work integration. I think this is, and I give here a few examples I know about, like a bakery that employ refugees, or a fashion company that maybe employ women from rural areas using their skills that sometimes they are being lost, but in a way to integrate these women back to the labor market, and also to use the skills that are being lost with the new generations. They can also create a business that integrate them. So this is usually, or most of the times also, we see this type of social enterprises into the nonprofit world. That is basically the main purpose of most of the nonprofits are born most of the time to help also other people. The second point here that we can see is also the personal social services. This can go from health, of course, to education, health services. And as you see, most of the time, it doesn't mean that the social enterprises are just one of them, but so many times they can be exchanged or they can be related to each other because they operate at different levels. And of course, they can be working with work integration, but at the same time, they can have also social services. So it's also the nice things of this type of businesses, that their impact doesn't stop in just one thing, but it can be in so many other areas. The third one is the local development of disadvantaged areas. I think this is also one that we all can get related to. It can be seen at so many levels, and I think in every country. We just don't need to think in developing countries, but also even in Europe, we can see that this type of businesses, when we think that in the most developed countries, sometimes this type of help is not needed, we can see also that there are many businesses acting or operating here. And then the fourth one, that is the one that I come from, the others that the European Commission called other. But it can open a new war again, and so many other sub points, like I highlight here, the environmental protection. And this environmental protection or recycling, how it is named here, it can be at the same time so many operational areas. It can be from prevention, education, or even acting to basically solve issues that have already happened, like to regenerate, to basically repair some damage that have been done. So also at the same time, these topics can be split in so many other levels. Here are some examples that are really easy for me to mention, like companies that create sustainable materials, even in the art area. There are, for example, in Spain, one town in Malaga that is also creating so many opening art residencies for small artists from all over the world. So at the same time, this is creating really nice system locally, but also creating in the art area some opportunities. And other one that we see more and more is the enterprises that are using maybe sustainable fabrics for the creation of their clothes. That is something really easy to see or find examples about. And then we have seen what the social enterprises are. And before we go further, we need to understand also what ethic means. What are ethics? Most of us can relate to that term, and of course, is really subjective. As you see here, I'm trying to bring also like definitions that are already out there that are standardized, and most of the people agree. Like this definition of ethics is coming from the Oxford Dictionary, and I wanted to be really pure in here. Overall, I would like to take the second meaning, that is maybe the one that we can relate the most, and is a set of moral principles, especially the ones relating to or affirming a specific group, field, or format of conduct. Because I want to use this one because also these field or form of conduct are the things we can see also in a company. So we can see the way of behaving. It doesn't belong only to people, but also belong to companies. We can say that a certain company behaves in an ethical or non-ethical way, because at the end, behind the companies, we find people, right? And because of the behavior of those people while they are operating these companies, we can end up saying that a company has been ethical or not. So in a really simplistic way of saying what ethics mean, is that we can be ethical when we do the good for others, when a company also do good for the world, or do good for the impact of the people and that is around them. So basically that the impact can be to their own customers, or it can be to the place where this company is located or operating. So as I was saying, ethic is the difference between what is good and what is bad. So of course, good or bad can change according to who is speaking. The perception, the way we live, or the society we have been raised can tell us a lot about what is good and what is not good. But of course, there are certain things that even if we go from one part of the world and the other one, and we start speaking about, okay, is this damaging people? Is this damaging animals? Or it is damaging the planet? So we can see that there are certain standard things that, of course, most of the people in the world will agree, right? And this is how we need to envision what ethics, or what good ethics, will be at the business level. Before continue, I just wanted to make a pause. I don't know if there is any questions already, but please, if you put them on the chat, I will be happy to answer them at the very end. And we'll be happy also to go back to any of the slides. And just to continue. So we say what is good, what is bad, and I mentioned, okay, maybe the definition or the perspective can be different, but here I brought some questions. Is it ethical to use children to work in the mines to get the materials for our smartphones? I don't think nobody will reply the opposite here, no? Is it ethical to have our money in a bank that finances war? So it's not ethical. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure most of us do, because we even don't know, unfortunately, that these kind of things happen with our money. Or is it ethical to use fashion made by kids and people that are maybe underpaid? It's not ethical, but also most of us do. And then in this context is where most of social businesses happen or appear, right? To try to solve sometimes the most easy unethical behaviors to see. So I took this sentence researching a bit of the topic about the infringement of ethical practice in business is common. And this is so sad to hear, right? This is a bit tough to read, and because it's yes, it's really common that businesses are unethical, right? We are born, we see businesses are focusing just in making money, and they forget about everything else. And because of that, they start to be unethical, and they start to create problems around them. And they forget what businesses are for, or what businesses are born for. Because I remember when I first studied business in a school when I was around 15, that the definition the teacher gave us, business born to basically provide a solution for a need in the society. So they are supposed not to be born for creating profit or just for the sake of making a business. It's because somebody can find a need in the society, in certain groups, in certain area, and then this person decide to make a business to try to give a solution to that need. So because of this common behavior of unethical practices, it is the time to find this balance. Okay, we maybe try to make money, or we try to make less money and be a bit more ethical, right? And be more social at the end. So the social entrepreneurs, what they do is to look to create social impact through those ethical behaviors and operations. So we have seen that also like the parts where these social businesses operate, and this is through their behaviors, so through their day-to-day operations, where they create this impact to improve what is around them, not only to make a business for the sake of making a business. And this is where I want to reach to the three levels that we always see that the most ethical decisions or will make the most impactful businesses. And when we have a business, of course, there are many levels, there's many theories, many ways to look at them, right? But there are three things to make a business social and sustainable, because sustainable doesn't mean only about the environment, but also to have a sustainable business, we need to find a balance between these three levels or pillars. There are the monetary, the people, and the planet. So we need, of course, to have a financially sustainable business, as I mentioned at the beginning, because otherwise, if we cannot make a living out of this business, so the business will end at some point, right? Because we cannot sustain it in the time, we cannot pay salaries, we cannot basically run in the current system. The impact also on the people. So a business where everybody's represented, where everybody have the equal opportunities, where we are not damaging the people around us, right? Like we see clear examples when certain businesses are running in an area and they are maybe using more water than they should, and therefore the town around them, they run out of water. So this is not an ethical decision. And we can see also these, for example, because I live here in Berlin, in the area around, it's one of the factories of Tesla that is a sustainable car. At the same time, this car, the production of this car is using a huge amount of water that is making the town around them to not have enough water for the people to live. So this is also like really controversial here in the area, because it's like, okay, we're saying the sustainable cars or electrical cars are the good choice, even if you as a citizen, it's more ethical to maybe use or buy a new car that is electrical, that has less impact into the environment than a non-electrical one. But then when they decide to put a factory here or there, it is ethical that because of one good decision, a lot of people get damaged. So you see also like the decisions that need to be taken are not always easy. And we can see this not only for small entrepreneurs or for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs, but also for the big companies that are trying to do better than others, or with, let's say, with a good impact as well. And of course, in relation to these examples, that is people, and I just mentioned, of course, the planet. So when we are trying to create a business, we need to see also, okay, it is monetary sustainable, it's good for the people, I pay everyone fair and creating maybe wealth in my region, but am I damaging the planet? Am I damaging the animals, for example, as well, that are part of the planet? Maybe that might be not so good. So sometimes, because the countries we live or the situations we live, or even if we are social entrepreneurs, we cannot take the best decisions, or we cannot make the right choices 100%, because we end up maybe taking one of them or making one of these pillars better than others. And this is also the moment when social entrepreneurs need to make some crucial decisions, right? Because that's also the thing when you are creating a project, a business that come sometimes from your personal perspective or your personal life, and has so many how you call it, like so many personal emotions behind your business, and you need to take or to basically decide one or over other pillar. Sometimes it's not so easy, and maybe if you are born as a ethical and social business, this can be more difficult for you to make a decision that that on purpose, because you make certain decision, you will be damaging or doing worse in other, right? So here I wanted to go a bit deeper into these 3 pillars and just mention a few examples on the monetary, planet, and people that we see how we can do it better, or how businesses can do it better. The first one is the monetary. We see simple, if you do really low payment, so offer equal salaries for men and women, right? So something that we say, okay, it's simple, it can be done really easily, but unfortunately it's not happening in most of the places, and I will adventure to say in the whole world, right? Not paying according to the law, this is quite common everywhere in the world. So if you sometimes you want to make profit over the happiness or over the legality, to say somehow, right? You decide to maybe pay under what the law says, or even not pay everybody according to, or everything regulated, right? So because some people decide to say, okay, I want to make more profit, then I'm gonna be using the money in not the best way. So this comes to the third point, like making the owners to make money and not the whole team. And I like this example a lot because it's this 6 levels payment, where the companies have always these 6 levels implemented, where the CEO, so basically the owner, will never make 6 times more than the person that makes less money. And this is really easy to handle, because in the moment that somebody gets a raise, everybody will get a raise, right? So everybody will win at the same time. In this way, you always keep a balance between the person who make the less and the person who make the most. And if the company make profit, everybody will be rewarded, because at the end is everybody's job that the profit happen. So this type of business, or this 6 level payment system, is it's not so common, but it makes also the company to be really transparent and always make the people really happy, right? Because then in this way, everybody's aware of what is happening, and that they are not being underpaid, or that they are being rewarded correctly. And going even further with what to make with money in the company, I wanted to mention these, use the cheapest option, risking quality. How many times we see products that are also really low quality, and they are being just used a few times, and that is being seen by the consumer, by the client. But at the end, it's also like with the only purpose of making more profit, because I know there's this material that lasts less, but it's much cheaper. So me as an owner, I will make much more money. And the non-investing your revenue in non-social. And this is something that happens a lot, because also like only big companies usually are the ones that are that needs to comply with the social responsibility, and they are the ones that are investing in social companies or in social projects. But then the small and medium-sized companies, when they have revenue, there's no laws that force them to reinvest that money, right, into doing something good into the society they live or they take part. So jumping into people, we have seen these examples from the examples I just gave, also like give the same opportunities to men and women, give the same opportunities for the people that are not from the city. Even it can be really good example, these businesses that are run maybe just by foreigners, by people who are in need, that are coming from another country. Is really a good way to create this type of social businesses. Work is made using kits. I think this is clear and something we can see everywhere and really easily available, and something that really is not difficult to comply with. Or when your high profits are made because you are damaging the people around you as well. So at the end, it is the same that we mentioned at the beginning. There is always correlation between all the levels, all the operations you can do, because sometimes one cannot live without the other one. And the third one is the planet, that at this point is kind of fundamental, because how I see it is like social businesses will, or no business will be alive in 10, 15 years if we don't start to look for the planet, and we have also like the environmental principles present when we are creating our plan. So there is like really some limits. You can have the best idea, maybe you can be a really social business just for the people, but you are not looking at all the environmental topics and issues, then at some point your business will have no viability, because there are regulations that are coming, there are limitations that the planet is putting in ourselves as well. So this is something you need to consider also when you are creating your business. Here, again, I mentioned one of the most basic is, instead of designing fast fashion, create a sustainable brand of fashion using local garments, using local resources. When you are designing a new product, you use non-recyclable materials. Go and use the recyclable ones, or maybe use the resources that are already around you. Create for the sake of creating. If your product is not only solving a need, but also is not giving a better solution of what is out there, maybe stop for a moment. Also think, what is the most ethical choice to make here? Should I create one more device that does exactly the same than all the other devices in the market? Or should I maybe wait and see what I can create that is not just pushing the overconsumption that we already live in? And well, the last point is also related of the materials. So maybe using materials with lower impact. So basically, if we have a balance between money, people, and planet, we can say that at the end, we can have an ethical business with social impact. And then here come again the questions, right? Like we ask a bit with a better perspective, with a more positive, is this more ethical a company that pay well to their employees? I will say yes. Is this more ethical a company that employ people in under-risk situation? We can say yes. And the same is more ethical company that create a device that is using sustainable materials instead of one that doesn't. We can say again yes. So even we see here that there's certain things and there are certain standards that we can all agree to. So it's like, independently of what I was saying, where we live, there are certain things that we can be really aware and that we need to consider when we are creating our business idea and we are deciding to be a social entrepreneur. So how I would like to close this is reminding also a few things, like social entrepreneurs also work in an environment that is highly competitive and unpredictable, because to create a business is difficult, it's not an easy decision, and it's always a fight to call it somehow. It's something that is always running, but because of the moments we are living, the social entrepreneurs are not always well understand. They don't have always the resources. So it's like they always have one more layer to add into their social entrepreneurial, let's say, path. And in such a market where everything is changing so much, and we have seen in the last years, sometimes we need to make tough decisions, and here it comes again. Maybe I'm risking something because I need to make a decision to keep my business alive. So it's not always easy to make the right decisions, but it's always good to have in mind where we want to go to. So even if we don't go with the straight way, that at some point we can loop and go back, even if sometimes we make the choices that are not the best one or the most ethical ones according to our own beliefs. And here a short list of all these issues that the social entrepreneurs need to face. They are not only for social entrepreneurs, but they are common to every entrepreneur. But sometimes for a social entrepreneur, for entrepreneurs that want to be more ethical, might be more difficult to decide. So 3 final things. So social entrepreneurs have in their hand the future of business. I say it because I really believe it. Otherwise, I will not be here today. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a social entrepreneur myself. I support other entrepreneurs. And for me, it's the only way that we have to do business for the futures. Social entrepreneurs, of course, can choose to be more ethical, and you can always choose a more ethical choice. And as I just mentioned, beginnings are tough, but remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And we all will be there in a few years because there will be no other way.
Well, thank you, Coral. First of all, thank you for sharing your knowledge. I really enjoy your presentation, and also thanks because you stuck to the time. You respected the time.
I tried.
Yes, you did. So it's great. So thank you so much. It's 10 to 4. Also, there is no question here in the chat. So if you have questions, you can do it right now. Please take advantage that she's here. She also she can answer your questions. Thank you also for your hints. I think they were very interesting, Coral. I think that
Maybe
people
Cristina,
were also...
while people are eventually like thinking about questions to ask, just like I can answer to something that was written, because someone was telling that they would really like to receive the recordings in their mail because of having more time to assimilate the concepts and so on. Absolutely, as I mentioned in the beginning, the webinars are recorded so that we can upload them on the website of the project. And then they will be available both for you, but also for anyone else that would like to get more knowledge about that. But of course, you as subscribers of the webinar cycle will get directly in your email as soon as they are uploaded on YouTube and on the website, the direct link to go and check these and the other webinars. So absolutely about that, we are aware that it takes more time maybe to get all the concepts and to think about it, and you will get it.
Okay, thank you for your intervention, Federico. So if somebody has a question? If not, I will give you 5 minutes to have a break, because then we need to start with the second webinar. As we are on time, we can have the break if you don't have a question now.
Okay, let's see. Okay, we got one question.
Did we? When a company says it reinvest 100% of its profit, what is a real profit?
Yeah, so well, the real profit is, this is something that relates to any business. You need to consider the profit is after you pay salaries, you pay your taxes, you pay the cost of your production, for example, you pay even your office, basically all the expenses that usual businesses have. And after everybody is paid, that instead of the whole revenue going to the owners, because sometimes when we speak about the small business, you are the owner, you are the CEO, and you are your shareholder, right? But sometimes, okay, you get your salary, and apart from that, after paying everything, you get profit, no? And then maybe that profit will go to you at the end of the year. So instead of just going to your pocket, you can decide, okay, we are going to reinvest all the profit. Of course, to make this more sustainable, that you can be sure that you are well paid, that your employees are well paid. And then at the end of the year, if you have like real profit, that you can say, okay, we are going to reinvest it into the business itself, or maybe into a third project that you want to finance. Sometimes some people say, okay, the profit we might reinvest in a smaller project in a local community, into sometimes we see planting a forest, right? So it might depend on your situation, but these are the type of profits you can consider.
Thank you, Juan. Someone else? Okay, if not, let's take a break. What do you think, Federico? Yes?
Yeah, I think that we can take a break until 4, which is the foreseen scheduled time for the next webinar, which will be run by Tunisian Scouts, and it will be about networking with partners, sponsors, and stakeholders. Thanks very much for following up to now. Thanks to Cristina and Sul Foundation, and especially to Coral for the very inspiring speech, and see you very soon.